Hi, a big hello and welcome to my show Unbound. I'm your host Mamtaa, a space curated for real stories of people from different walks of life who have sailed through uncharted waters and lived to tell their inspiring story. Unbound is a deep dive into their journeys to unravel, unearth, uncover various facets of their lives as they remain unstoppable and continue to do the unthinkable. As they open up about their life with me, I'm sure you will find nuggets of wisdom to live unbound too. So let's unbound together. Today, I have a great fortune of having a very, very special guest on the show. Not only has his pursuits taken him to the world, but his passions has made it fun too. Let's welcome Amit Rana, General Manager, Holiday Inn, New Delhi International Airport. Hello, Amit. Welcome to my show, Unbound.
Hi,
How are you doing today?
fantastic, fantastic. I think it's a pleasure. I have been hearing and listening to your podcast in past, and I think I've turned a big fan.
Oh, that's so sweet. So, Amit, I mean, after this long order of things that you have done in over 2 decades of your professional life, just my request to you is introduce us to that Amit who is not known to us. Who is Amit Rana?
So, Amit Rana is somebody who loves hospitality. Amit Rana is somebody who's grown up in the hospitality and has truly believed that something that I'm really passionate about. I've traveled the world and I really think I'm grateful to hospitality industry that's taken me to different places.
So, tell me a little about your family, your background. Where do you come from? Your parents?
I'm a Delhiite, so I grew up in Delhi. I went to school in Delhi. Then, after my school, I was fortunate enough to travel to Australia. I did my hotel management there, graduated from the Blue Mountains International Hotel Management School. That's in Sydney, about 2 hours from Sydney. Post that, after graduation, and the course itself was designed in such a way that you had 6 months of study and you had 6 months of work. So cultural acceptance to Australia, and I was fortunate to see and travel across Australia, right from Sydney to Melbourne to Alice Springs to Brisbane to Cairns to Port Macquarie, all across Australia as a continent. I think I've seen more of Australia at that time, as might have Australians have not seen. So I was fortunate. So I really thank that, that university phase got me to see a big continent, which, is very, very close to my heart.
So, how did you find your first seedlings into this profession? So, did it just happen by chance, or was there someone in your family who was into this profession? Someone inspired you? How did your game and your passion for food and
Absolutely.
hospitality
So,
begin?
look, I still remember my father was a bureaucrat and I grew up in a bureaucrat family. I still remember walking up the stairs and we used to visit a lot of five-star hotels. And that time, Taj Palace was a hotel which I visited very frequently with my parents. And as a 10-year-old, I would walk up those stairs and wonder that, look, what is this fascinating life around? This is something that I am going to work around and become, a great hospitality person one day.
So, how did you develop the interest in this line of work?
So I still remember, as I said, as a kid, a croissant was something, and when I was 10-year-old, was not something which was very much accepted in our society or in our culture or in, as a staple. So, looking at a croissant, you would wonder, what is it? A bread? Is it some kind of a pastry? That's something which really made me, research about food and read about food and explore. Little, access with that time. We didn't have YouTube, we didn't have Instagram or Facebook or anything to research. So I went around looking at shelf with cookery books and explored and asked questions to chefs and people. And that's what made me inquisitive about food, different ingredients. And I experimented this at home. So that is what drives me to my passion today in hotel industry.
Wow. So, what makes you unbound, Amit?
I still remember my parents dropping me at the Indira Gandhi airport in Delhi and saying farewell and bye bye that you start your new journey. That was a transforming moment, and it was very scary. I was very emotional. I was a spoiled teenager who had never stepped out of home. But saying that bye bye and accepting to a new world, which was unknown, a territory which I had never been to, really made me the individual that I am today. Wherever I am today, I thank to that step that I took when I was 17. If I hadn't done, I wouldn't have been doing what I'm doing today.
So, what now? I mean, at the age of this 17, that you landed in a territory which was totally unknown, a zone which you were not acquainted with, you didn't know people, you didn't know the food, the culture. How did you firm up your ground? How did you begin your start all over again in a city like that?
So look, I still remember leaving India in June 1997 and landing in Singapore, which is the world which was very different, and then landing finally in Sydney, which was freezing cold. Imagine. So I was wondering, here I am, who's traveled from India in June with 50 degrees of to 45 degrees of temperature, and in Sydney it's freezing. I had to put my jacket on and come out of the airport. So it was a cultural shock. And, being a 17-year-old, India with the culture that we came from was still not that much openness was not there. So the biggest shock was looking at a different society which had completely different rules, which had completely different ways of, living life. It was all, Australia as a community and Australia as a world is very, very fun loving, laid back, and they know how to enjoy life. So Australians have a different culture. And coming back from India, where we, work in that you've got to save for the rainy day and all of that. So that was a different world altogether, which was a big cultural shock for the first 6 months.
What about judgments? Judgments that you may have faced from others?
And you're so right. When you're growing from a rank and file role to a mid-level management to a senior level role to a general manager role, you're on a stage with a camera and lens on. Everybody has a point of view about you as an individual. And I think what has truly helped me is being genuine, being truthful, being somebody who respects the industry, being somebody who has truly believed that integrity is something that goes a long way. And I think I really want to mention that wherever I am today, I mean, I'm in my career, I've remembered one thing that that vision, the goal, whatever I had, but one person and one individual in my life who's really helped me and supported me to reach where I am today is my wife. I think without her support, I wouldn't have been doing what I'm doing today.
So you just made this quote come true, right? That behind every successful man, there is a woman. How beautiful.
Her name is Mansi. Mansi is somebody who I've been married for now 20 years.
I'm sure when you must have got married, and that's how, with the beginning of any partnership or commitment, right? Even you don't know sometimes where you're headed for, because life and circumstances and events, they keep evolving and changing. So how have two of you really managed to keep it all going for you and your profession? Does she also travels around with you wherever you go?
So internationally, we have traveled together. I think when I was in Oman, when I initially got married from 2004 to 2007, we were together. Then I came back to Delhi in 2007. Is again she was with me. But then when I traveled to Cochin, that was a different world. So for 2 years, she was in Delhi. My son was studying in Delhi. So that was a investment that we both did together. So from 2004 to 2007, we were in Oman together. And when I came back, I was together till 2013. 11 to 13, I was in Cochin. That's when my wife supported and said, look, this is a new phase of life. You're going to a new place. Why don't you adjust to it and then we'll take it. So I think that support and that push and that confidence that we took each other, and we both believe that both of us are like two spokes of a bicycle. She holds the front of the spoke and I am the back of the spoke. So without each other's support, the bicycle will not run. So I think beautifully together, with her support, I was able to drive my career, and she was holding the family front and making sure that managing me, my daughter, and my son in a most amazing way.
This is such a sweet sharing, Amit. I must say, this juncture, it is so touchy and so beautiful to see that you regard and acknowledge the part and the role of your spouse in your life with such grace. I have seldom come across people who really acknowledge, their partners for their success. Also, at this point, I would want to ask that what about her own aspirations and ambitions? Is she professionally or otherwise for a hobby pursuing anything? Does she actually get time to do anything other than manage you and home and family?
No, no, she's very passionate about few things in life. She's very passionate, and she's become a little bit of foodie because of my influence over her. Then she's tried and traveled, but otherwise, she's somebody who's very creative. She likes weaving. She's very fond of knitting, and I rarely see that now in today's world. She's very creative and she's very focused about. I still remember she making a very nice sweater out of knitting for my son and my daughter, and that's rarely to be seen. Usually, I've seen a lot of people buying the stuff too. So that passion comes around that. She loves making candles. So that's a passion that she, evolved around. Again, my son started learning German. She got hooked onto it, and about 5 years back, she decided to go to college and do a short-term course from Delhi University, and she did a German course. So I supported all of that. I said, absolutely. I said, look, it doesn't matter what age are we in life. If you feel that this is something which is your passion, take it off. Make sure that we don't leave this. And uncertainty is something which all of us have learned during these 2 years. We should not repent that, look, I didn't do this. And I think so that's something, kudos to her that she's always done, and I've always supported whatever she wanted to do.
So, Mansi, this is a big shout out to you for really being who you are and putting yourself totally out there for your husband, for your family. It's really the women like you who make this world a better place. So, kudos to you, girl.
Absolutely. Round of applause for her. I would really round of applause for her.
Awesome. And we are just so, so proud of both of you.
At Unbound, we believe in the power of unhinged minds and untamed ideas of people from all walks of life. As we sit to talk with some of them, we are listening to your voice too. So, share your ideas, thoughts, or takeaways from this podcast as a review on Apple Podcast, or just drop us a message on Instagram at the rate d.mamtaa. That is at the rate d.mamtaa. You can also mail us at unboundwithmamta@gmail.com. And remember to subscribe and follow this podcast and stay connected with us.
So now, if I were to ask you, what are the things that inspire you? Are the people, places, books, thoughts, conversations? What really inspires Amit
Look,
Rana?
I love watching, I love listening, and one person who I follow and I refer to time and again, probably during Instagram, which is taught, is Gopal Gaur. I think he's somebody who teaches you. Robin Sharma is another person who I refer to, or I look and read his quotes. And I think they're very realistic. They tell you in life the reality, and we sometimes, forget importance and important things in life. And they give you kind of a speed breaker to realize that, look, my friend, this is not just life. You have to respect the fact that you are alive and kicking after what we've seen in the last 2 years, in COVID times as well. So when you refer and read these quotes, they kind of, help you to stay happy and to be thankful and fortunate to God.
Wow, Gopal Gaur, somebody, I also personally take a lot of inspiration from, and certainly the monk who sold his Ferrari. So, any one liner, any quote that is always on the top of your mind from them?
I think there were very nice few videos which I remember of Gopal Gaur where he's mentioned and he's given story around, two employees who join a company at the same time, yet one was successful, one was not. So that whole narration, the way he's explained that is very beautiful. He's saying that it's not just doing a job. It's running a show, and you got to be an entrepreneur in today's world. It's not just, it's just doing a job. It is also looking at how well, and if you don't have that entrepreneurial job, a GM's job becomes much more difficult. You can't run somebody's business if you think it and take it as just a 9 to 6 in hospitality, or I think in any industry in the world. You got to run a business like you own it.
So, what about some vices or conflicts or detractors, criticism? I'm sure आपके भी हिस्से में अपनी struggle तो definitely आई होगी. How have you dealt with all of this in your professional journey?
There's a very old song which again Australia, I learned and I heard and I keep on just hearing this, and I believe.
Can I guess that
Yeah,
song
please,
for
please.
you? Is that मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया?
It's actually it resonates to the same thing. What the song is, the Australian band which it says you get knocked down and you get up again, but you get knocked down again. So you get knocked down, you get up. If you're fond of Shazam, you sing the song and it'll pull it up for you. Otherwise, I very strongly believe that this song is something which teaches you that, look, life knocks you down every day. But if you're not brave enough to get up, you will get knocked down again. And if you're not getting up again, you will get knocked down again. So you got to have that courage. You got to have that spirit of life, which makes you a fighter like Muhammad Ali, and you become somebody saying, bring it on, my friend. I will walk into this and come out as a winner, because I know my focus is very clear. I know that the disruption, the noise which is around the space is not going to deviate me from the journey that I am heading towards.
So, quickly moving to my next question, Amit. So, what are those things in your life that put you back in your Zen state, or they bring you back to your anchor?
So I think meditation is something that I got hooked on to for last, especially 2 years. I was always a firm believer, and I always had this Zen moment. And I've devoted this first 10, 15 minutes of for last, I think 20 years. I've devoted 5, 10 minutes, and I do this spiritual time. That is something which I sit before and thank God for wherever I am today. And I think that is something which is the most Zen moment for me, where I completely cut myself off from the world and just say thank you to wherever and whatever I'm doing today. I wasn't expecting this from life, and I'm thankful that today whatever I have got and whatever in future I have, look, it's garbage in, garbage out. That's a term that we've all heard. In life, if you put garbage in, it'll always be garbage out. If you are investing and if you're focused, I don't think success can go away from you.
How about movies and books and travel, Amit? Does any of this really influence you or your decision in life?
So I think one Hindi movie which just came to my mind was Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar.
Wow.
That is one movie which I have seen again I have lost count. I mean, I've seen that many times. And then one movie which again stick to my mind is Invictus. That is Morgan Freeman, Matt Damon. That movie teaches you that nothing in life is impossible. Teamwork, leadership, how important that is in today's life and in any firm or any industry that you're in, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you are working as a general manager, whether you are somebody who's doing a chef's role or any role in life. That movie teaches you nothing is impossible.
Wow, I'm going to certainly put this on my watch list. Is this available?
It's on Netflix.
All right.
It's on Netflix. You definitely should watch it. And I'm sure you will call me.
Absolutely, I'll do that. So, Amit, last 2 years, I think, has been a time of crisis and challenge world over. I would just like to know from you that as a sector coming from an industry such as hospitality, what has COVID been for you all? And what kind of a learning or an experience has been in your personal life or personal realm? What are the teachings and learnings?
So I think the biggest definition for me that I've learned is living with uncertainty. That is something which none of us was experienced enough or knew a definition about. Post-COVID, uncertainty is something that has changed definitions in a lot of ways. Planning has changed definition in a lot of ways. respect towards life has changed. Importance towards very small things that you did not care about earlier made a big, big difference to you. So I think being humble and being thankful for as much as getting a bed in the hospital at that time. So those are some things which probably did not, even money could not buy, has taught us lessons for life. And everybody who survived COVID will never be able to forget that what we've seen during those 2 years, which were very, very painful.
Okay, and how about professionally? Have you seen the whole shift happening with COVID as far as hospitality sector is concerned? Have you seen the entire landscape changing? What has it brought at a professional end?
Look, there are certain things, and I'm very grateful to Intercontinental Hotel Group, the company that I've been with for last 18 years. I'm very grateful to the company that the decisions that the company has taken and the direction that we got from the senior leadership has really helped us to support colleagues and to be sustaining that self was not something that was written out of a standard operating procedure that you could pull up the book or an encyclopedia which gave you a recipe to it or a formula to run. So it was a basic instinct and it was learning that you were evolving every day. Your planning was for that day and next day because of the uncertainty that we were in, you had to plan a different way. But I think I'm grateful to the organization that I've worked with that the caring attitude, the whole persona towards or the whole importance towards the moment of uh, taking care of people and caring of associates, colleagues, and guests were always used as a lens for decisions.
So, would you say some of these practices have changed forever as far as hospitality is concerned?
Look, travel will always be something that people are going to do. It's not going to stop. It's only a stopgap arrangement that had happened. People have started again. But the new thing which have started is virtual world that we didn't get exposed to earlier. I think that is something which, with the technology coming virtually, things will become delivery something that always be part of which wasn't part of our life. Swiggy, Zomato has become more popular, which didn't exist post pre-COVID. So I think these are something which will.
Well said, Amit. Now, coming to your current role and position as the GM for Holiday Inn International New Delhi, tell me, how's life?
Look, I mean, during COVID, it did disrupt, and there were certain changes that we adapted to. Like, you would never see a five-star hotel getting into delivery, Swiggy, Zomato. I think every hotel in Delhi NCR now is doing it. There are chains and there are companies who have done different vertical to it. What we realize is that the virtual world and virtual, whether it was lunch or dinner, we delivered even food to people during that time as a company and as a hotel while they were sitting at their homes using different modes which have come, like services which didn't exist probably 2 years before. So I think the adaptation, this is an evolving procedure and process which will not stop. Technology is something which will become more and more with 5G launching, with all of this. I think virtual world is the new wave. Travel will still continue, but technology is something that we have to embrace.
So, just tell us and take us through your life or a day in your life, a day in the life of a GM of the hotel Holiday Inn.
Look, as much as you want to plan, every day teaches you a different lesson. And I think there are certain days where if you don't learn and if you don't get taught a lesson, you feel that you've not achieved that day or that day was not fruitful. So every day is different. And you got to come with that whole point of view of saying that I'm going to learn and I'm going to teach two different things today. There's no set pattern, but otherwise, I think the hotel from a general manager's role, you got to be making sure with the guest lens, and you got to making sure through a asset manager lens how maintain guest experience is taken care properly. So those protocols are something which are very very important in a general manager's role. And of course, staff well-being. Our associates are most important assets to us. Their well-being and their happiness is definitely very important.
I know how much of a foodie you are, Amit. Tell us about some of your adventures, some of the world food, or some of the best foods that you've ever had. Five, maybe?
I think Italian is one thing which Indians are really fond of. And in fact, we're opening an Italian restaurant. We've just opened the Italian restaurant, La Osteria Bella.
Oh, wow. Congratulations to the whole team. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us at least about one must try at L'Osteria Bella, Amit? We would definitely want to make a visit.
I think the pizzas in the pasta, the risotto is phenomenal. The grills are, amazing. I think we do a great dessert as well. The tiramisu is the icing or the cherry on top.
So, for those of you who may not know that if you talk Italian food, you got to try out L'Osteria Bella, which is opened at Holiday Inn, Aero City, New Delhi. It's a contemporary Italian restaurant which is offering the finest and the freshest flavors of Italy. So I am certainly making a trip down to L'Osteria Bella very, very soon, Amit.
Absolutely.
But tell me about your palate. What is the kind of food that is most delectable for you? Is it Indian? Is it Italian, Chinese, Japanese? What kind of food do you really like?
So Italian, as I said, one. Number two is Pan Asian. I love Japanese food. I love Chinese. I love Arabic food, and I'm really fond of. I know there is nothing called American or Australian food, but of course, those teach you a different word of non-vegetarian aspect of element of life. So these are some foods and fusions that I'm really fond of.
Okay, tell me about the biggest adventure, one and one biggest misadventure that you've had with food by far.
Again, land down under Australia has taught me. I've never had a crocodile. Way back in 97, I had a crocodile the first time in my life, an emu, a camel. That was, something that I hadn't tried. And the most difficult or most, there's a program online, I'm sure, I don't know if you've heard, it's called Andrew Zimmer. And he tries world's weirdest foods. He tries everything, walking, crawling. And I've only done one thing, which is frog legs, which are actually a French delicacy, but that's something that I've tried.
So, something that you really enjoyed, was it really delectable? All these food items that you just talked about?
I don't think I would make this a staple part of my diet. I am okay with only eating chicken, lamb, and sticking to fish and seafood. Certain things which I would definitely once in try, but not something that I would looking forward to having it again and again.
So, just share with us one food anecdote which is like the funniest, the most insane, silliest, and unheard about.
I think a tarantula fried spider. That's the very scariest thing. I mean, it'll spook away anybody. But that is one. And another weird food that I've heard is frozen monkey brain. That's, a delicacy in one of the Southeast Asian countries.
So, tell us about a few dishes with which you call it a wrap to the year. Since we are almost into the end of the year, I would like to know some maybe world dishes or exotic dishes which you have to have at least once a year. It's like a tick mark on your bucket list every year, or does that bucket list keep increasing, or it keeps changing every year?
I love teppanyaki food. I love, Japanese, as I said. That's on my top favorites whenever I'm going. So that's something that I really look forward to every now and then.
Amit, you were once mentioning to me something about the secret recipes, how they are like guarded like holy grail, and there are fights in the parts of the world that break out, and
Correct.
there are gharanas who hold these recipes close to their chest. So why don't you just spill some beans over that? You've personally seen things like these, haven't you?
I've learned that in New York, there are actually gangs around pizza sauce recipe. So they keep it so secret. Like, we all know how secretive is Coke about the whole recipe of Coke. It's kept in a vault which nobody's ever seen or opened to. The similar way, these pizza sauces are Italian community who has gone in generations, and they keep this recipe very close to their restaurant, and their restaurants have thrived and have grown because of those secret recipes and sauces. And they kind of send each other's modes or each other's resources to work in each other's restaurant where they try to learn the recipe. So it was very fascinating to know that how passionate pizza sauce, small ingredient can be evolving around people's life.
Wow, that is some interesting fact. How about some of your favorite Indian dishes, Amit?
So from Amritsar, it's definitely going to be the butter chicken, which is actually Delhi and Amritsar, both from Punjab and Delhi. Second is Rajasthan, which is the lal mas. Again, Rajasthan dal bati churma is again very, very. Then when you go down south, idiyappam and the banana wrapped fish is very, very, again, famous in delicacy. Vada pav from Mumbai is again, the staple, and bhel puri is something which is phenomenal if we had it at the right place.
Absolutely. And I can tell you, Amit, I've never ever had a more mouth-watering moment ever on my show. So during all your food adventures and travel to all these, continents and countries that you have across the world, what are some of the methodologies or the ways, the preps that has really stood out for you? Is there anything?
I think, sorry, I forgot. How can I forget? Northeast, the momos or the dim sums that we call from the Indian version, they're definitely the thupka, which is known to everybody. That's something which is very unique to Northeast. I think that is something which is very, very amazing. I highly recommend to people who've not tried to try it.
Wow, you've literally drawn a picture in front of me which has come alive. With this, we come to the best and the most fun part of the show, that is my personal favorite, the rapid reflex round. There will be some volley of questions that I'm going to quickly throw on you, and I want the answers in not more than a word or maybe just a sentence. So, are you ready, Amit?
Absolutely.
So, let's get started. One thing you would like to change about hospitality as a sector?
Gender diversity.
Excellent. One thing you would like to change about our education system?
The rat race that we run.
What is your take on technological innovations and intervention that is taking away the one-on-one interaction from the human?
Embrace it with open arms. That's the world.
Travel to you is?
Travel to me is learning and understanding and adapting to different ways and learning a different world outside the social environment that you live in.
Awesome. What's your take on climate change?
Extremely important. If today we don't look at renewable source of energy, and if we don't give respect to carbon footprint, and if we don't do energy conservation and water conservation and all of this, this is not just going to be, this is something that we'll have to leave for the future. Otherwise, the future will always haunt us in terms of saying that the generation which has left us behind has not left anything for us.
Food to you is?
I think food is very important. You got to respect food. You've got to. For me, it's a very motivating, a very I'm a big foodie, and I respect and I enjoy different parts of the cuisine all over the world. So very important and very respectful, and I love exploring new food cuisines and cultures.
What about balanced diet, Amit? Balanced diet to you is?
Extremely important in today's health world that we are in. It's extremely important to balance and watch what you eat and what you should not eat.
Okay, chole bhature or lasagna? Pick your choose.
Lasagna.
If not hospitality and food, what would you have been doing, Amit?
Farmer.
All right. And just one thing that you would like to leave our listeners with?
What makes me wonder is the whole world today that we are living in right now is fighting for this, I don't know, mad race that we are on in, is wondering what do we want to achieve, whether it's Russia, whether it's anything else. It's life can be so simple. We've complicated it too much for ourselves. Always truly believe that, if you are focused in life, if you know what you want, and if you're passionate towards it, nothing can stop you.
Super. That is some pearl of wisdom. Thank you so much for being on the show with me, Amit, and you've really come unbound.
Thank you so much, Mamta. I really think it's a great opportunity, and it was such a pleasure talking to you. I've never done this in my career so far. I think this was the most engaging conversation that I got in, and I think I've never explored on audio or a video way of a complete journey I've had in my career so far, and the people and the company that has been so important to me. I think kudos to you to get that out of me, because that wasn't an easy task. So thank you.
Stay well. Thank you so much once again. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I would love to know from you what idea or insight you unboxed from today's conversation. Just drop me a message over LinkedIn or in my inbox, and remember to follow this podcast so that when the next episode drops, you can join me for yet another one too. Keep coming and keep unbounding. Till then, this is your host Mamtaa signing off.